Hello everybody, we're going to do another 15 plus 10 game in this series that isn't the speedrun. The reason being that you can only do a speedrun if you're an official partner of chess.com. Okay, I was just thinking actually that it's really interesting that to approach these games we should do base it all on, forget all opening theory like memorization and just do it all on principles. So the Durash Gambit, okay, he's moved the f pawn right in the opening. I'm just going to take the pawn, right? It's just like free stuff. Okay, so he brings a knight out. I want to develop generally kingside before queenside, generally knights before bishops. Bring out my knight, why not? This pawn is currently not under attack. I don't have to worry too much about it, and in fact I'm not even going to worry about it because in general you shouldn't worry about extra pawns. There we go. So just give it up, it's fine. Develop. Bishop's attacking my pawn, queen defends. I can play d3 soon. I can castle. Might play queen e2. We shall see. Big weakness here is this diagonal, of course, which I'm very familiar with because I've got rather a sore one myself quite a lot of the time. So yeah, castle. Normal developing move. I want to connect my rooks. Who's in the way? Queenie and that bishop. So let's prepare to get the bishop back in the board. Now I've got two ideas actually. d3 is modest. It blocks off and annoys this bishop, which is no bad thing. d4 may be a little more aggressive. Got one pair of eyes on that, it's defended once. I could also play rook e1. Rook e1 and just actually apply more pressure to this pawn. So the principles at work here are, yeah, this is actually a developing move. Or it's that move between the opening and the middle game where you're starting to improve your pieces. Because right now this rook is not doing a very important job guarding that pawn, right? But here suddenly we've got two attackers on that pawn, so I'm going to play that move instead of my normal development routine. Yeah, and okay, this is like a counter-attack. So opponent has blocked that, but they've pushed a pawn in the center. So I'm going to stick my bishop here, just retreating the bishop, again biting on granite. I'm looking at a light squared pawn chain. What's the point in that? Much better to put it here, pin the knight, give my opponent not necessarily a headache, but the opportunity for a headache later on. Queen d7 now. Okay, so he could be preparing to castle that way. d3 or d4? Actually, tactics. Tic-tacs, right? Always be ready for tic-tacs. The knight is pinned on the queen, yes? Okay. My knight has the opportunity of e5. There's nothing else you can do other than just scan the board and try and at least for a tenth of a second look at every possible move, right? You could use as a hint the fact that these two are in a knight forkable formation, but you just have to spot the pattern. So knight in here, I attack the queen, I attack the knight. The knight can't take me because he loses the queen. Well, then the knight boomerangs back and recaptures, but let's try it. Oh, he resigned. Oh. Well, that wasn't very good, was it? I think we might have to do another one. My rating's starting to settle down now. 83.5, quite happy with that. Of course, my opponent gave me a bit of an advantage out of the opening. It kind of went all the way back down to evens, though. Okay. Knight f3 is good. So it says I played like an 1100. Yeah, with 83 accuracy, go figure. Because it thinks I'm rated 600, that's why. Best move. Grab the centre. Yeah, I just developed a piece. Not much difference. Didn't like that. Giving up the pawn. I was in the middle of saying forget about the pawn. Okay, but the point here is we're following principles, right? Rook e1 is good. It says a bunch of good moves here, right? d5, great move. Okay. Bishop e5, and then queen d7 is a mistake because of that. We found the great move, and this is just what's going to happen time and time and time again. This is what's going to happen. Just play solid, and your opponent will at some point shoot themselves in the face. Okay, we're now rated 667, facing somebody rated 751. Okay, the Leonardis variation, and we actually had this the other day. So, like I said, I play the reverse King's Gambit here. So, principles-wise, obviously he's blocking in his bishop. We can strike in the centre. Well, not really strike, but d5 if takes. But then my queen's out on the board, and then it's knight c3. And we get all kinds of headaches, so develop stuff. It's quite refreshing having an f pawn there. Now a little bit of defence. So, you know, just bringing a knight out, it doesn't really matter which one. Oh, hello. So this could be preparing the move d4. With the idea of I take and he recaptures with that. So this is like what you see, a bit like a kind of reverse Caro-Kann, or Alpin Sicilian, or Ponziani. But it's slow because opponents already played pawn to d3, and then if they play pawn to d4, that is going to be on the slow side. So what else can I do about this square? Well, can I play bishop c5? Takey, takey, takey. Yes, I can. Say no more. Yeah, there I take. If pawn takes, I can recapture with the knight or the bishop. Happy days. And I've moved one of my kingside minor pieces out. Ooh, we have queen. We have some queen action. Now, queen f6 is a thought, and if they take, you recapture with your knight. I don't think I want my queen off the board at this point in time, so I'm just going to do that. General rule, don't bring your queen out into the board in the opening. Or not at the beginning of it anyway. It's slightly more important to get these guys out. Reason is the queen becomes the target. So for example, pawn to d6, bishop g4. And suddenly she's looking a little bit awkward. Okay, attacking my bishop. I'm just going to drop the bishop back, I think. I mean, d6 is possible, but then if bishop takes, my pawn takes away from the centre, and then this guy might be vulnerable later on. Taking the bishop doesn't make a heap of sense. Queen takes. Do I have an immediate counterattack? No. So I'm just going to drop the bishop back to b6. Then if they take, I take towards the centre, right? What's more, this rook suddenly has a job. He suddenly goes, woohoo, look at all these squares I can see. Look at all these squares where white has to think very carefully about putting his pieces because suddenly they're under black rook control. Got a nice mocha, cafe mocha. This morning, wife came back with a keg of beer from her work. They've got a brewery at her work. So she came back with one of these metal kegs last night, and I found a home for half of it. So I'm not feeling maybe 100% this morning, and I'm farting like a... Okay, there we go. So back to the game. Yeah, beer, man. That's not good for you at all. Okay, so I'll capture towards the centre, and suddenly... So what is the point of these moves? All right, look at white. This is the end of move 4. He's moved 3 pawns and a queen. I mean, just even that, just 3 pawns and a queen. How often will you see a good player do that? What if I moved 1 pawn, 2 knights and a bishop, right? And what's the difference? Look at these squares. Hang on. Right? Go back here. Right? He's done this. Right? At this point, 4 moves in, I'm controlling squares in my opponent's half of the board, for example. Yeah? These squares. Right? Opponent is controlling that one, kind of on my half of the board, and that. Right? That's one way of looking at development. So he uses a move for this. I drop back. He then eliminates his developed bishop, and I recapture. So what's he achieved? He's removed this piece, he's removed my bishop, and he's improved the pawn and opened up my rook. You see? Now this might not seem like much of a deal, but as you improve, those small advantages and disadvantages will really start to tell in the middle game, leading on to winning or lost endgames. Okay, so I've played d6. Why have I played d6? Well, I've got an idea, and it's called free development. I get to stick my bishop on g4, upset the queen, she has to move, and white will have wasted a turn. Then I can just calmly castle. Is it raining? Sounds like it's raining. That's not good news. Nothing but sun and rain, and my grass is like going up like this. Can't keep on top of this garden. We've got 2-acre garden, and it's only me. However, can't complain. I've got a garden, haven't I? Always look at the benefits and the bright side, and count your blessings. Be thankful. It's very important. Sasha, come and say hello to the boys and girls. Come on, you're very popular on the internet. Nope. Nope. She's far too important now. Okay, opponent's having a jolly good think. So look at what he's got stuff on c3 in the way of that knight, and on f3 in the way of that knight. So we don't say these principles aren't principles just for the fun of it. There is a point behind all of this. Now, there's nothing wrong with the move pawn to c3. There's nothing necessarily wrong with this, but the point is, in the actual context of the game, yeah, his knight can move there, but this knight, he's got stuff here and here, right? Also, this bishop's very bad already, right? He's played 7 moves, 7, and he's already falling over his own feet, and he may have just disappeared. I don't know. We shall see. I've also got a big spoonful of diatomaceous earth in my coffee, which is this kind of very fine powdery clay that's made out of things that died long ago, little crustaceans or something. But it's good for clearing out kind of fungal and parasites and all kinds of stuff like that. Just have to keep stirring it in. I think you might have done one. Have you done one? Are we not going to get to complete a game today? This is very irregular and disappointing. So let's flip the board and have a look from white's side. Imagine you're white. Right? What's he got? He wants to castle his king. Oh, action, hang on. You see, he's had to put his knight here. Now, this gives me an option. I could develop my bishop in one go and bishop gone. But then he's going to capture there with his queen, isn't he? Okay. But I've still got this move. And it costs me nothing. I barely have to think about that move. But what am I doing? I'm just developing a bishop, right? Now, question is, where's the queen going to go? Well, she's only got 2 squares, actually. So I haven't thought this through yet. Right? Now, my knight needs to defend this bishop. Can't forget that. But I could then play, for example, queen d7, so that the queen defends the bishop. And then... No, so she goes there. Okay. I mean, I would consider h5, h4. On h4, Harry the h-pawn will be defended by my rook, but then the queen will have to go there. Right? Now, that's an idea. But what you then have to say is, well, it's an idea, but who's better at the end of this, right? Apart from the fact that I've spent 1, 2 moves. What I haven't done is castled my king, blah, 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 right? h5 is not a bad move per se. Now, actually, something else has changed here that's also quite important and worth pointing out. Here, queen takes bishop wasn't possible because knight takes queen, bishop takes knight. White has won 2 minor pieces for the price of a queen, which is a high price to pay. With queen here, it's different. Why? Because he can play bishop takes first. Then if I recapture, queen takes, and he's won 2 minor pieces. Dogs are playing. 2 minor pieces for 1 bishop. Right? That isn't good for yours truly. Therefore, I've got a couple of options. Defend the bishop with pawn h5 or queen d7. Zara, go and do that outside. It's noisy. Oi! Come here. It's horrible having dogs. Absolutely. What pain. All right, hello. All right, calm down. So, we can defend the bishop, okay? Or trade it off, or retreat it, right? Whenever there's an attacking situation, you need to consider all the options, and there's very often more than one. There's very often several. So the idea of counterattacks, pinning the attacker, trades, all this kind of stuff, checks. So, for example, if I take here, king takes. King is then been forced to move and then loses castling rights, which is going to slow down the progress maybe of these rooks. Okay, could take here, and then queen takes. I don't think that's a good use of my bishop, to be honest. I think trading off is absolutely fine. Also notice that white can't actually castle on the next turn, right? But I'm going to play queen d7 just because I feel like it's more principled and a better example. Might not be ideal, but look, now I've got my pieces, and there we go. There is the mistake, right? Did I just say that, or did I just think it? White can't castle. In this position, the king defends the bishop, okay? The information is there, right? King defends, right? We have tension between the bishops. Is this bishop defended? Yeah, it's defended twice. Okay. So if takes, I can take with either piece. Is this bishop defended? Yes, it's defended by the king. Okay, let's move the king. Drop C. Okay, now. Can I take this pawn? Well, no. Because queen takes. Well, I am up a piece. My opponent has managed to lose both of his bishops. Guys, seriously? Look what I have to work with. Okay, so my bishop's under attack. I can't go here, rook takes. I can't go here, queen takes. I can't go here, pawn takes, right? I could go here or here. So I'm just inclined to stick it back there. Insane. Okay, and that is a move. You know, it's a move. Also opens up the king. Look at this diagonal now. Right, my king's quite nice and safe. He's not castled yet. Don't matter. Don't matter, mate. Yeah. Okay. Now I think we do another tic-tac-tac. Now I think bishop takes knight, because look at these pawns all on light squares now, right? This bishop will be bouncing off these like flies off my window, right? Makes life very hard for the bishop. Opponent has no bishops left. He didn't want any bishops in this game. Now, if I take the knight here, there's two things that could happen. Well, there are more, obviously, always more than two things, but the two most likely things are pawn takes, in which case, ooh, that king's very wide open because his pawn's going to be on these squares. Yeah? Or queen takes. And if queen takes, I may decide to trade off queens. Or they could do that. Okay. Fascinating. Take my undefended pawn. Attacking my knight at the same time. Okay. And my rook. Fascinating. Right, well, game on. Now, I just had this conversation yesterday. I had a lesson with Jose, Colin, which was really nice because he paid for a lesson and then gave me a lesson, which is great. Good friend of the channel. And he said yesterday, in terms of weaknesses in my play, making assumptions about what my opponent is going to do, like assuming the opponent's going to play the natural move. So, you know, I had him in mind when I was saying this, right? The two most likely things are pawn takes, queen takes, in which case, fine, but bang. And that is simply the fact that I didn't notice that after moving my bishop, I would be hanging this pawn, and what's more, two undefended pieces. Because after the pawn falls, the knight isn't defended. Okay, so we're going to play now. We're going to play some chess. Right, so the pawn attacks the bishop on h3. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my rook here. And the reason is now the pawn is pinned. Let's do it in blue. We ice the pinned piece. So it can't capture there. The pawn cannot capture. And what's more, I'm now threatening to capture. And there are two ways to do it as well. Your beginner, your average beginner, will very often capture with the piece that gives check. Because they think it's check, it's cool. Then the king moves and the rook moves away. Right? Or takes here. Your more advanced player will very often capture with the piece that doesn't give check in order to create a discovered check when the piece moves away, which is even better. So. I'm still thinking of lining up. I mean, this is an idea. This is an attacking idea. I think she has to go there then, doesn't she? If I go here... Yeah. I think that move is kind of forced. And then queen is looking at my undefended pawn. And the queen is also looking at my bishop, of course, which is still undefended. So, is it time to pull out the bishop? Let's pull the bishop out for now. I might then think about doubling up rooks. So the advantage here of like everything else in life, when one door closes, another door opens. So the flip side of queen taking my pawn on g7 is that white has opened up the g file, or semi-opened it up, because it's semi-opened up because it's got pawns of one colour on it, it's got white pawns. Right, now the difference between white pawns and black pawns, it depends on which side of the board you're on, right? thing about white pawns is I can capture those. I cannot remove dark squared pawns, dark pawns, black pawns. So I'm going to throw this move in, just because it feels right. Right, everything's kind of defended right now, because it's important to remember to defend your stuff. Apologies if you're going to hear my little troop of flies. That's what happens when you leave the door open. Ow. Okay. Queen there. So she's eyeing up this pawn now. Now I can defend it, and there's a few ways of doing that, and I think the best way is this. This is a discovered defense by my queen. And if pawn takes, I have bishop takes, and that improves the bishop. We're looking at this undefended pawn then. Yeah? This is good, we have to play now. Hang on, how am I up in material? Oh, I was up a piece already. Oh, right. So I took the knight. With there. The queen took here with a fork. I castle to defend the rook. She takes there. Wins the knight back, but has not won back the bishop. So I'm still up a piece for a pawn. Okay, so queen to... Okay, so we have this. Look at this awkward rook now as well. Now it is doing an important job. It's defending g2. Questions then. My immediate instinct is rook d to g8. This one would be, by the way, rook g to g8, rg g8, because there's two rooks that could move to g8. Really, really annoys me when I'm playing over the board and we have one of these things and I look at what my opponent's written on the thing and they just put rook g8 and it's like, that's incorrect. Yes, I'm a little bit that way inclined. I am, I acknowledge it. Right, so a few ideas. Rook dga, yes. Okay, I mean, classic idea. But we also notice we have pawn tension here. So I need to ask the question, does it benefit me, for example, to start trading off in the middle? Well, actually, after this move, after knight d2, he's got knight takes there. He's also got queen takes, but I think knight takes. I think that improves his situation. Another idea is, should I push f4? And I'm starting to think it might not be a bad idea. It kind of shuts things off. It shuts off this pawn. It stops this pawn from advancing up the board. It prevents this pawn to some degree from going there. So next question is, time-wise, do I play rook dg8 first? Well, everything's kind of covered. So I think I'm going to push the pawn now. And I'm consciously and deliberately closing this area of the board, the near king side, because I want to annoy this knight. One of the things that my buddy Jose said to me yesterday is spend as much time as you can trying to do what you always think what your opponent doesn't want you to do and do that. And you'll win a lot more games, that particularly I think he said with the black pieces. Is that you, Cooper? Cooper Scoop. So I hope this is useful, guys. The thing is, like on chess.com, we are now getting around the kind of median thingy. Rating, which means there's millions of players below this rating who are trying to get to like around this rating and to want to know what to do around that rating. And that queen has not really improved their situation massively. Okay, I'm down to 4.5 minutes, so I'm going to have to do less of that and more chessing. And we are still better. Reason is I have a bishop. Opponent has one extra pawn. Where is it? Well, it's kind of this one really, isn't it? And so now I would already be thinking about Harry Carry, right? H5, H4. If I can get H3 in, I'm happy. And the reason is because then I'm attacking the G2 pawn, and if it advances, I'm covering that square as well. If it goes straight to H4, again, the en passant rule, right? As long as you have a pawn that could have taken the... Okay. He just put his head in the lion's mouth, didn't he? That's just dumb, right? Puts the pawn here. Attackers 1, 2, 3. Defenders 1, 2. If attackers is greater than defenders, then you take. Well, you don't have to, but you will normally come out with more materials, innit? So he just gave up a pawn for no good reason whatsoever. Now, interesting. He's just blundered a rook. Because the king would be the only piece that can recapture, and it can't. Because it would still be in check, and he's in check now. Crikey. Right then, we need to finish this job. Finish it. Right, so that is a finish. That is checkmate. I couldn't see a quicker one. I'm not sure how he prevents it. Okay, queen here, check. Knight blocks, queen takes his mate. I think that is the only legal move. He has to play that. So anyway, do you see the point? Opponent played all right. Okay. For a while. And there's... Why are they selling me sexy dresses? I don't know. Yeah. Opponent played all right. But eventually, you hang in there. Just play solid. Right? Solid, 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 solid. Principled, principled, principled. Your opponents will screw up. And we are now at 7:02. So there we go. Join me next time for this not speed run. And we'll see what we find on the other side of 700. Thank you for watching, everybody. See you later.